Welcome to Positively Nerdy number 254, Ryan and Leah at the movie.
Here's the story of a lovely lady who was bringing up three very lovely girls. All of them had hair of gold, like their mother, the youngest one in curls.
It's a story of a man named Brady who was busy with three boys of his own. They were born...
Welcome back, everyone, to a very special episode of Positively Nerdy and the latest installment of Ryan and Leah at the movies. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Leah. Hello, everybody.
How's it going?
Well, I feel like we were just here.
We were just here. And if you listened to the last episode, we teased that we thought we were going to have to do a special recording because of all the news that broke. And this week, we could not avoid it. Had to react to the news you've all heard by now. Yes, it's true. Jon Stewart is leaving The Daily Show.
R.I.P. I don't even know how I'm going to deal with it. Like, all my formative years and into adulthood have been with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. I'm in a state of mourning.
Fond memories, actually, of watching him in college.
How am I going to get through the 2016 election? Help me. Oh, help me, Jon Stewart. How am I going to survive?
All right. Well, that's not actually why we're here. But it bumped him off of Twitter trending. Here he's at the top, bumping off Spider-Man. Because, yes, as you all know by now, Marvel has procured, to a limited extent, the film rights to Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is coming home. He's going to be integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And seemingly everybody but me is rejoicing.
Which is odd, because in this, I've heard you talk many a time about how you never believed that Spider-Man would come back to Marvel, but how much you wish that he would. And now all of a sudden you have a different tune.
I do. I feel like... How do I put... Okay.
Well, sharing is not caring in this case. I think it's going to be a difficult way to handle.
Yes. I feel part of it just feels weird to me. I think I look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it's come from since 2008, where it's headed through 2019, spanning more than a decade from what's come and what's been announced. And I feel like it's the Brady Bunch, and Spider-Man is coming in as Cousin Oliver. And, like, we have the boys and the girls, and everybody's mixing and mingling better than anybody could have hoped. And here comes, I mean, we even got, Alice is running around. Agent Coulson is Alice for this.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for taking the journey, because I wasn't on the path.
I'm just trying to name all these different characters. It seems to me like Coulson would be.
Who's Sam? Who's Sam? Who's Sam the Butcher?
If it's Coulson...
Is Sam the Butcher Kobe Smulders? I mean...
Yeah, probably going to be Maria Hill. Or maybe I was going to say Agent May. Because now Alice, if you want to... Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Alice is off with some other family's kids. But it just seems... I don't know. I feel like it's going to disrupt what has been a very steady, increasingly well-done stream of movies. I feel like it's very disruptive. And part of it is I'm very protective of Spider-Man. I make a lot of excuses. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not very good. I can admit that.
Amazing Spider-Man was awesome, though, the new origin film.
But I enjoyed
right.
On some level, I even enjoyed Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like we talked about last time with Fantastic Four. I'm a big enough fan I can get something out of it. And part of it is I feel very protective of Spider-Man. I'm terrified as to... I'm waiting for the turn. Everybody's so excited right now. And they should be. But as soon as casting comes out, as soon as they announce what the story's going to be, everybody's going to turn on this. That's what I'm just terrified that's what's going to happen.
Here's my take on it. And I know that you're saying it's going to cause a disruption. But Marvel has wanted Spider-Man back for some time. Sony obviously got their way in some magical form of being able to keep the rights.
What happens when you fire your CEO.
Yes. And... giving rights to Marvel as well. But I have to believe, as well planned out as Marvel is, they had contingency plan B if Miracle happened and Spider-Man was procured, or if Miracle happened and Fantastic Four was procured back, or X-Men. I mean, they must have had these plan B options, which... That's
probably true.
I mean, no one is planning that far out with all these huge Marvel characters not owned by Marvel Studios without the possibility of, okay, pie in the sky, we get Spider-Man back. What does that new arch look like?
Right. And what if the other side? What if something flops?
Right. It's too well planned. They've done too thorough of a job for me to believe that they didn't have,
All right.
Cobra plan.
Okay.
I don't know where that came
Well,
from.
we recorded this as quickly as we possibly could because news broke very late last night.
Yes.
And we both work 9 to 5s and have a 2-year-old who is very, very upset we would talk to a microphone and not to him.
We can't even have a 2-sentence conversation back and forth without him going, Mama, Mama, da-da, da-da.
Yes. So we did this as soon as we could, but that's also given us some time to think about
Yes.
it, as you just kind of heard a little bit. Have you given any thought to how, I mean, as a fan of the cinematic universe and not necessarily the comics, what's your thought process on how this is going to work? Because they have announced that he will make his debut in a cinematic movie not entitled Spider-Man.
Right.
And then he will be in his own movie, which has shuffled the entire landscape of Phase 3.
Right. Now, do you think he will be in the next set of Avengers movies, or do you think they're just going to phase him into integration into the Marvel Universe after Avengers?
See, I grew very weary of the rumors. Spider-Man's coming to Marvel. Spider-Man's coming to Marvel. And now I've got a whole new set of rumors that are driving me insane. Because he's going to appear in this, and it's going to be Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that. I'm going to tell you right now, Marvel did not fight tooth and nail to give an unsuspecting audience Miles Morales. Love the character. I adore the character. Leah, who is Miles Morales?
A Marvel character.
There you go. I'm not
Right.
insulting you. That's
No, I
why
know.
it's not going to be Miles Morales. Because nobody knows who Miles Morales is. If a fraction of the people going to see these movies were actually buying the comics, comic sales would be much, much better, and they'd be much more inclined to do something like that. But it's the average man and woman on the street that are going to see these movies, and they don't know or care who Miles is.
Can I just take a moment on this platform, though, to say that the standalone movie in 2017, I really hope is not an origin film. And here's why. We don't need an origin film.
We don't. Absolutely don't.
And I think regardless of whether or not they use Andrew Garfield or not, which I think is sad, because I think Andrew Garfield has been an amazing Peter Parker. They did a fabulous origin film just a couple years ago with him and Emma Stone, and they were fabulous in those roles. And it's too soon, and I don't think we need another origin story. Give me something new and original for Spider-Man. Blow me out of the water, Marvel, with an original standalone Spider-Man movie. I don't need an origin. I want an awesome, the only way Marvel can do it, Spider-Man film.
I don't think you're going to get an origin.
Okay.
Because according to the report, he's going to appear in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie before his standalone
in 17
in tie with Sony movie. And there's also talks of bringing Marvel Cinematic characters into the Spider-Man movies as well. So the big rumor, and certainly the one that makes more sense, so don't tell me you have some leak or report or whatever. The big one that makes the most sense is Cap 3.
Yeah.
Because it's dyed Avengers, basically. You've already got Iron Man coming into it. You're debuting Black Panther, who now we have to wait another friggin' year for his movie because of this.
Black Widow is already in the Cap movies.
Black Widow's going to be in the Cap. I guess we assume she's going to be in it. We've heard that Hawkeye's got a much bigger role in Cap 3 than he's had to this point.
So
well, we don't know what his
we're not going to
role-
have the Hulk and Thor.
Basically.
Okay.
And maybe we'll get Banner. That'd be awesome if at least Banner showed up. Speaking of Thor, Sif is coming back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., by the way.
Oh, all right.
Which is awesome. Anyway, that one makes more sense. As far as the Civil War storyline goes, Spider-Man is very integral to that. I don't know if you can introduce him and make him that focal point
Right.
all in one movie. But Black Widow didn't get an origin.
Yes.
Falcon didn't get an origin.
What would you say outside of Superman? I mean, well, in terms of films in the last decade or so, Spider-Man has been the most, filmed, in terms of multiple films about a single character that we've had.
5 movies, over $4 billion.
Yes. People know who he is.
That's what I'm saying. We don't need, I don't think we'll get one.
No.
I think he'll just show up. And I kind of hope they go really young with the casting.
Oh, really?
Not like ridiculously young, but he needs to very clearly be, I would love high school.
Well, especially
early college would be all right. I really want, because the crux of Civil War is Spider-Man chooses the side you don't think he would choose. And I don't want to get too spoilery because people like Leah and other people who have not read Civil War, Iron Man and Tony are fighting. And Spider-Man goes in a way you don't think he would go. And does some things you don't think he would do. And then switches.
Wow.
And that's kind of
Is
a
it
big
switch
deal
part?
because there's this very clear line in the sand between the heroes of I believe this, well, I believe that. And switching sides doesn't happen very often, especially with a high-profile guy like Spider-Man. I don't know that you can do all that.
Well, don't you think the continuity would make more sense too if he was super young and just appeared like, because otherwise if he had
I want to
been-
be a hero
if-
too.
Right. And if he had been this prominent figure in the Marvel universe pre to that, there would have been inklings of him. It makes
Why,
more sense.
why hadn't we seen him or
It makes
talked
more
about him?
sense to introduce him young, but without the origin story, jump right in.
Yes. I think it's if he just shows up. And but I want him really, really young because regardless of how accurate or how faithfully adapted, I should say, because I don't care if it's quote-unquote accurate. Depending on how faithfully adapted Civil War is, it doesn't matter. I want that mentor relationship with either Cap or Tony or whoever it is. I want him to be much, much younger than everybody else. Have you put any thought into Dreamcasting at all? Because I've not. I
have
don't.
a really hard time even wrapping my head around it because I am in love with Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. I was looking forward to Amazing Spider-Man 3 in the sheer fact that I really loved how he portrayed
Right.
that character. I have no idea.
Okay, no, I was just curious.
No, I mean, it really depends on age and things they do. I mean,
We don't know what the ages they're going with. It is
the nice thing that I've really respected that for the most part Marvel has done is they don't take the huge names.
No.
They've made really huge names out of the people they've picked.
And we actually, again, just talked about Fantastic Four kind of has that who's who of young Hollywood. So there's a couple actors right
Scratch
off.
off. Yeah.
I was
Because Miles Teller off the top of my head was...
I've already seen a lot of people complaining that Miles Teller isn't available.
Right. 'cause
Which
he would be the-
I don't want to say I don't get it. I'm unaware of him. I don't want to say I've seen his movies and I don't get his appeal. I've been exposed to him enough
Right.
to understand it. But I've seen a lot on Twitter about that. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking back. I mean, outside, there have been, of course, a few actors they've brought in that have been big names. Scarlett Johansson. I don't know if you can really call Mark Ruffalo a big name, but a quality
he's
actor.
recognizable.
But if you think about, yes, Chris Evans was in Fantastic Four, but really before,
Some people knew who he was, but
exploded. Chris Helmsworth exploded.
yeah, big time.
Why am I-
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston exploded. These are now huge Hollywood
Players,
stars
yeah.
because of these movies. It really relaunched Robert Downey Jr.'s career.
It did,
yeah.
yeah.
He had been, but he was really not very successful again until Iron Man, and that brought forth a lot of opportunity for him. So I think that they're probably not going to go with super mainstream.
Well, I don't think they will either.
No, but that's what I love is that
You're not going to see Zac Efron as Peter Parker.
Oh. Sorry to
You
think.
can see the look on Leah's face.
I do love some Zac Efron, but I think he's too old. I think he's too old.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield's
He could
31.
play young,
Yeah,
though.
he could. And Andrew Garfield could play young too. Andrew Garfield's 31 years old.
Yeah,
But
they've not officially announced that Andrew Garfield is out, to my knowledge. But just if you listen, the words they're using, it's very clear they're going in a whole new direction.
like I said, is really unfortunate because he had that heart.
I liked him. And
I haven't read the comics, so I can't really say. But he.
It wasn't the comic Peter Parker.
No, but he had a playfulness and. I don't know, something about...
His dynamic with Emma Stone was awesome.
Yeah, their chemistry was basically exploding off the screen.
Yes,
so
well, they are, or were,
I believe they're
an
still
item
together.
in real life, yeah.
So, 2017. So take me through now what we look like, okay? In terms of, 15, of course, nothing has changed. 16, nothing has changed. 17 is where everything blows up.
Yes. So now, where'd it go? I had it. Okay. So now Thor gets moved all the way up to the end of November 2017. So that's going to share with Spider-Man.
So Thor 3.
Thor 3.
And Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man 2017.
Oh my god.
This is just...
Marvel's going to explode.
This is just Marvel. And by all accounts, from what we've seen trailer-wise in Age of Ultron, and the fact that Thor is called Ragnarok, some stuff's going down.
And just to clarify, Cap 3 comes out in 16, correct?
Yes, that is next year.
Okay, and that's where you're predicting that will be the first appearance of Spider-Man.
It wouldn't make
In
much sense
a cameo kind of situation, glorified.
I would think.
supporting
Well,
role.
what I had said for Black Panther, and now you throw Spider-Man into it, if that's the movie. I had said that Black Panther will probably be in a Scarlett Johansson,
Black Widow?
in a Black Widow type role as she was in Iron Man 2.
Okay.
I assume that's what we'd get from Black Panther and Cap 3, but I have no idea. But I would assume it won't be full blown all about Peter Parker / Spider-Man. It'll be, hey, who's this kid?
Right.
Inexperienced. I'm sure they'll play at the inexperience again because they want him to be either mentored by Steve or Tony, that kind of thing. So I'm assuming Cap 3 makes the most sense because also in 16 you have Doctor Strange.
Okay.
They have a very cool relationship in the comics, but that's been built over
time and
yes. And it's not like, oh my God, everybody's waiting to see the movie where they team up. They have an interesting relationship, but it's, yeah.
Do you think it's possible that they're only going to do it in an end credit sequence? That's how we've introduced a lot of characters.
We have been introduced to a lot through that. That's
now, would it be possible then
it's not
take
impossible.
the journey?
It's not impossible.
That maybe in this year, Doctor Strange, first very appearance of Spider-Man at the end.
At the end of Doctor Strange.
I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
They said he would.
They'll have casting done by that for sure.
And they don't know. I'm sure they have ideas, but nothing's on paper in terms of what's being done with this.
Right.
I wouldn't think.
But that's how we were introduced
could be,
to Thor.
It could
that's
be
how
a
we were
post-credit
introduced
sequence.
to Thanos.
And as long as it's enough to, I guess it would be the end credit sequence.
Yeah.
It would
Like
it would blow everything else out of the
credits,
water.
The credits would end. Wait, lights aren't coming up. Bam, Spidey.
Yep. Some guy gets caught in a web. You zoom out. There's Spider-Man. I would think that you'd need him talking to someone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He'd have to have a scene with Fury, or the Spider-Man cartoon that's on Disney XD right now. Coulson's a major character in that.
Oh, okay.
It'd be really cool.
Does the same actor do his voice?
I don't know, actually. I think so.
I'm gonna look it up.
But it'd be really cool if he kind of became that mentor figure that he is in the show, in the comics as well, which would also bring Coulson back to the movies, which would be awesome.
Right.
Let everybody know that Alice is still alive.
He better be back. I can't.
I can't. He's the head of Shield, and
right.
I would think Age. I don't know if he'll be in Age of Ultron, but I think Age of Ultron will probably be the indicator to everyone whether or not they're ever going to find out he's still alive.
Well, and what's her name from Thor's universe? The one
Sif?
Sif.
Yes, she
Doesn't
said Thor will rejoice to hear you're alive, and he told her, I want to tell him myself.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember that piece. I was like, wait a second, wouldn't he already know? But yes.
Yeah, Sif is a lady of her word, so I'm sure she has not told him. I don't even remember where I was going with all that. Oh, if they do a post-credit sequence, which is probably not it's probably a good idea, because I would think that they've got a script pretty well in hand for Cap 3, and it's pretty important to the flow of the Marvel Universe. You don't want to disrupt that apple cart too much.
Ultimate Spider-Man, he played the voice of Agent Phil Coulson in that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if it was that. Was it? Sorry.
But you have to have him. You have to let everyone know that he's in the cinematic universe. He's got to talk to Fury, or Coulson, or Cap, or Iron Man. Somebody. It has to be very, very clear that Spider-Man is here. He's part of this universe, just like they used to do in the comics. It was. Now they do it all the time, but. In the early 60s, when the Marvel Universe was blowing up in the comics, you always had, when a new series launched, you always had some cameo by the Avengers or the Hulk or somebody, just to, it's the same, Spider-Man's, the first issue of Spider-Man, he goes and tries to get a job with the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. Like, you just need to know that this is all one big universe. Right. So his first appearance, if it is post-credit, he's got to be talking to somebody. It can't just be a clip of him webbing up a bad guy.
It just feels, I don't know, I got this sense that feels like that's the right way to introduce him.
I'm pretty sure
at the end.
I never would have thought of it, but I'm pretty sure you're dead.
Glorified cameo in Cap 3, roll into 17 with his movie, bam.
Cap 3 will be before Doctor Strange. Cap 3 is like May-ish. Doctor Strange will be the late summer, fallish release.
Cap 3, no, Doctor Strange is the end of this year. It's at the end of 15.
Ant-Man is the second.
Oh, shoot. Then I meant Ant-Man. I didn't mean Doctor Strange. I did not mean Doctor Strange.
Yeah, because what else would they be setting
Sorry
up
about that.
with
For some
Ant-Man?
reason, I was thinking the end of this year. I apologize, but I was thinking end of 15.
Ant-Man makes sense, though, too. Because what else are you setting up with Ant-Man?
Right.
It's too early to set up a sequel that has not even been announced. Mm-hmm. I doubt he's going to come across an Infinity Gem.
Right.
Maybe you're setting up Cap, but usually now we get twofers.
Yeah.
We usually get the post-animated credits and the very, very, very end credits. So that could be. And then I was going somewhere with that before that. What about bad guys for his standalone? Are we redoing Green Goblin or Doc Ock or Venom.
Doc Ock's pretty awesome. It's been a long time. We had a little bit, since we've seen Doc Ock on screen since Spider-Man 2. We had...
Yeah, because he wasn't part of the Amazings.
Right. He hasn't been.
He was teased, but he wasn't in there.
Right. I don't know. I love Doc Ock. I think he'd be an awesome character, but I know that Spidey has tons of characters. Marvel might want to go a little outside the box.
Yeah.
They've been doing that with a lot of things they've been doing. I don't know. I mean, my idea is maybe they're going to want to really separate themselves from the other films.
Marvel, I will say, Marvel does a great job. I mean, look at somebody like GSP in Cap 2. He came, he was awesome, and we never saw him again. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that he'll be a Spider-Man bad guy. But what I'm saying is they do a really good job of introducing people, like Rumlow, the Special Forces guy,
right?
That will become a supervillain later. That's a slow burn. Mm-hmm. But Falcon, Black Widow, Batroc, these guys all kind of came and had their big moment without really any setup.
Right.
Like, here's a few lines of dialogue to tell you who this person is, why Falcon can all of a sudden fly around on these wings. Like, we know why. Mm-hmm. We don't need a backstory. We don't need him, in combat to believe that he can do this.
Right.
So I think that they have a formula or whatever it is, good faith even at this point, to just say, here's a handful of bad guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, it might be a bunch of bumbling idiots, because Spider-Man's D-listers are sometimes twice as entertaining as most people's A and B'ers.
There's a lot of questions.
Right.
And
it's fun to speculate. It really is. And
the more you're talking, the more you're getting excited.
I was just going to say, I've kind of turned to 180 like this, because I'm always on people for being negative, and I was really upset with myself because after the initial, oh my God, they did it, I got really down on it. I don't know if I was just in a bad mood or what, but, and it's fun to speculate, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe has built a strong enough foundation to kind of let this happen, but I'm still worried that the backlash could be immense if it doesn't go the way they want it to, because people are already, we're speculating, and I've seen a lot of great articles speculating on what would be fun, but I've seen a lot of people too saying, this is what's going to happen according to the source of a Twitter feed I misinterpreted. It's just, and you wonder where the comic book guy stereotype comes from. It comes from people who are already upset, already completely oblivious to the fact that Spider-Man's here, and now they're moved on to X-Men. Now 20th Century Fox is the problem. You're never satisfied.
Even though weren't they the people that were saying they were loving the new X-Men movies? I mean,
they're a franchise onto themselves.
Right.
If they sign a deal to have Wolverine go toe to toe with the Hulk, I'm the first one in line. But I don't need the entire X universe brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And they've done a great job. And I've loved that they've kept the continuity. They are the only...
They've rebooted their own universe.
Right.
Without rebooting their own universe.
The same
that's what I'm saying.
Outstanding.
And
how many more years can Hugh Jackman play Wolverine? I don't care. Forever.
Well, there just came out a report that Patrick Stewart's probably going to be in Wolverine 3.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, but even in the comics, though, the X-Men always kind of did their own thing.
Right. So let them be.
I don't need it. Fantastic Four? Yes, please.
Because they might do a better job. Although I'm still excited about the new movie.
I know. I didn't say that either.
Don't hate him on Miles Teller.
I'm a little bit upset because in my mind, Inhumans falling in between Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2 made the perfect amount of sense. Mm-hmm. Because we're going out to outer space. Humans are going to get their butts kicked, or the heroes are going to get their butts kicked. In come the Inhumans. They join the battle for Part 2. Mm-hmm. Everything's right and great with the universe when they defeat Thanos. Now Inhumans isn't coming out until after Part 2 of Infinity War, which makes me sad. But
they must have felt like
I can't blame Spider-Man for that.
I was going to say, but if Marvel felt like they could move it, then
it's just my pride. My theory is all wrong now.
Right.
So that's all.
Whew.
It is fun to do. I do love Spider-Man. I'm going to love seeing him talk to Captain America. And because Spider-Man is one of those characters in the Marvel Universe, and I don't know if there's anybody else in comics, period. Maybe Batman at DC. No, not even Batman. Maybe Superman. I don't know who would be at DC. But Spider-Man has a special relationship with every... Like I talked about Doctor Strange. It seems weird, but he and Doctor Strange have a really cool thing. Spider-Man and Daredevil have a really cool back and forth. Spider-Man and Cap have a really great mentor personal relationship. Spider-Man and Wolverine's relationship cracks me up to no end. Like the way they get along or don't get along. Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, specifically Johnny, but the whole group he's got a dynamic with. Spider-Man has that rapport with every single character in the Marvel Universe. He's kind of the glue. And which I'm arguing against myself at this point. Like, obviously, he needs to be
right.
in the cinematic universe.
But they've done a good job of doing it without him.
They have, but what I mean is
But don't you think he'll just enhance it?
That's what I'm saying. I'm arguing against myself because they can do whatever they want and make it work. Mm-hmm. They can throw him into any movie, any cameo, any scene, and it should work because he's Spider-Man.
Right.
And that's why I love him.
And you have just in the last 15 minutes, listeners, seen Ryan do a 180 through his own discussion. We'll see. You know, I understand the speculation. I do. I mean, I understand from the love of Spider-Man and wanting to do it right. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. In Marvel, I trust. I believe that they're going to do it right. I really do.
In the fanboys, I do not.
They have not disappointed. I believe they had their little locked box file of hope. What if we get Spidey back?
Their hope chest.
And here's, yep. Not their broken dreams chest.
They made a dream board.
They did. And they had a plan B. I really do. I don't believe for a second that they just were like, oh, we got Spider-Man. Now we're just throwing all this away. No.
I want to write down the name and Twitter handle of everybody who's excited now and compare that against everybody who freaks the frack out when they announce who's playing Peter Parker.
Well, they've not been wrong in their choices before for Marvel. But it'll be interesting. Will Sony and Marvel be making that decision
Sony
jointly?
has final say on everything that involves Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's going to be
so
interesting.
I'm assuming that means, of course, you can do that. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they're going to let Marvel take the reins. But it's in there that Sony has final say on everything pertaining to Spider-Man in how he's portrayed in the movies.
Wow. So, that's going to be a thorn in Marvel's side.
Yes. So we'll see how that goes.
But you know what? They made a small victory.
Yes. So this one went a little longer than I thought it would.
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised we're under half an hour, let's be honest. I thought you were going to rant a lot longer than this.
But obviously we could not wait another week and a half.
Well, and now this won't be tacked on to our special Oscar podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say. Plus the Oscar one is coming up, which always takes up its own chunk of time.
Yes.
Probably won't be much else going on next week other than Oscars.
We better have a review of Birdman.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's coming out on Blu-ray next Tuesday, though. So
feathers crossed. That was. You should not laugh at that. You should.
I loved
it was terrible.
Everything about it. If you could see, yes, it was amazing. Sometimes you got to do the corny joke, right?
All right. Well, if you caught this podcast simply because the Spider-Man hashtag or whatever it was caught your eye, welcome.
We
please,
love talking about movies.
Yes, please come back in, again, a week and a half. We're normally here every other Friday to talk about movies. Next up is the Oscar extravaganza.
Dun, 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 dun!
So looking forward to that, and looking forward to you all coming back and listening. Thank you so much for listening this time. And as always, until next time, celebrate movies, celebrate your fandom.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of night, at the scene of a crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang up. Wherever there's a hang up, you'll find a Spider-Man.